Our primary focus is not to get out the vote. It's to make sure they don't cheat. Because we have all the votes you need. You can see it. Every house along the way has signs, Trump, Trump, Trump.
Donald Trump at a rally in North Carolina questioning the integrity of our election and repeating the false claim about the 2020 election. More on that in just a moment. And with this campaign shifting into new gear as Labor Day approaches, new polling suggests Kamala Harris is continuing her momentum with a post-convention bounce, as most expected. We also learned yesterday that her campaign has now raised a record-breaking $540 million since she entered the race just 36 days ago. That's over $500 million. It's a stunning number, even in today's world of big money politics. But back to election integrity. Expect to hear much more about it between now and November 5th, especially around highly charged issues like voter ID, early voting, ballot drop boxes, and voter fraud. And in two of our swing states, Wisconsin and Michigan, these issues have been front and center since the 2020 race. For more on all of this, I'm pleased to be joined by Patrick Marley, Madison, Wisconsin-based reporter for the Washington Post. Patrick, it's so good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with Wisconsin, your home base and a state you've covered for years. What's the latest with absentee ballot drop boxes, and why is this so important for the outcome there in November?
Ballot drop boxes have made two trips to the state Supreme Court. Wisconsin has long allowed ballot drop boxes, but they were sort of under the radar until 2020 with COVID, when local jurisdictions started expanding their use greatly. And so you saw them all across the state. They were used in 2020. The election went to Biden that year. And then afterward, there was a lawsuit over their use. Conservatives controlled the state Supreme Court, said that they were illegal in the state and they were banned for 2022. Then the Supreme Court flipped, a new lawsuit was filed, and the liberals who now control the court recently said that they are allowed. So they're being put back into place for 2024. It's completely up to the local jurisdictions. So places like Madison and Milwaukee, which have very large Democratic bases, are using them. And other parts of the states have the ability to use them. It's sort of a patchwork you have.
Is there any chance that that decision, which was flipped, could be appealed again before Election Day, or is this now how it's going to be for November?
Yeah, very hard to see how it could be relitigated between now and Election Day. The state Supreme Court was pretty clear. Hard to see how you could get it into federal court at this point, especially with the clock ticking away. There is another state Supreme Court election right after this one in early 2025. The court could flip back to conservatives, and I suppose it's within the realm of possibility you could see more ballot drop box litigation.
So nearly 2/3 of Republicans in Wisconsin were not confident in the results of the 2020 election. Tell us about bipartisan efforts in Wisconsin to reinforce election integrity.
Wisconsin's unlike most states in that instead of having the Secretary of State run elections, they have a bipartisan board, so it's 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats who run the election. And although they often have some conflicts and disagreements, you have to, by definition, have bipartisan decisions because you need 4 votes, so at least one person from each party. There was a lot of discussion after the election. Some false claims were made. Republicans stood by them. A conservative independent group did a review of the election and found that there was no evidence of widespread fraud that would have changed the results. But it continues to be an issue, you know, that although some Republican voices in Wisconsin are reminding voters that the elections are secure in the state, you do have Donald Trump, who continuously makes some claims about elections that has really affected the views of the base on how confident they can be in the results.
Okay, I want to go to Michigan now. How did Democrats make it easier to vote there?
So Democrats in 2022 had a citizen-led initiative put on the ballot for a constitutional amendment that was very expansive, and that passed by a wide margin in 2022. So that guarantees 9 days of early voting, makes it so that there's postage on your return ballots, shored up some rules on certifying results to make it crystal clear that for partisan reasons or for thin evidence, you can't prevent the certification of results. These kinds of things have been put into place, and now really this is the first presidential election where you'll see these all available to voters.
Okay, Patrick Marley with the Washington Post. Thanks so much for your insight.
Thank you.
Up next, why both campaigns are making a major push for suburban women in states like Pennsylvania, that's me, and why Democrats hope Kamala Harris continues her post-convention momentum. But first, voters in Michigan and Wisconsin give us their thoughts on voter fraud. Battleground will be right back.
Is voter fraud a concern to you?
Not really, because Trump already been exposed for it, so I don't think he could get away with it again. They watching him real close.
I am concerned about voter fraud. I think we have a lot of people who are here illegally.
There is really no voter fraud issue in this country. If anything, there's a problem with voter suppression, people having their rights to vote taken away.
I wish you had to just vote in person, on the day, in person, show an ID, and that's it.